Hi BookTube, this is my 5th and final video on the book selections for Canada Reads 2015. If you don't know, Canada Reads is a competition set up by CBC where they take 5 well-known Canadians and ask them to defend 5 Canadian books, and each day, a book is voted off, and the winning book is a book that they think every Canadian should read. This year we have a theme, and that theme is a book to break barriers. I'm just going to get my review up here. And this is the book that I think I would be happiest if it won Canada Reads. This is And the Birds Rain Down by Jocelyne Saucier, translated by Rhonda Mullins. It is a beautiful book. It is definitely a testament to the translator as well as to the author to be able to keep the language and structure as beautiful as the story. So I am including definitely Rhonda Mullins' name on there. Beautiful. Okay, so a basic summary. There's multiple storylines that intertwine, and they're all kind of interconnected, but they're not forcibly interconnected. They're kind of organically come together. You have 2 old men, well over 80, who decide to leave society behind, go off the grid, and live in the forests of northern Ontario. And they are supported by their pensions, and actually 2 young men who convince them to start a marijuana plantation. Then they're visited by 2 women who are kind of come in and, upset their lives a little. They're first visited by a photographer who's obsessed with the survivors of the Great Fires, which is a real historical event that killed more than 300 people in northern Ontario. And a woman who had spent the last 66 years of her life locked up in a mental institution. So each person has their own story that doesn't kind of interfere with the lives of the others, and it doesn't really contrast them, but rather complements them. For example, the photographer is trying to uncover the life of a legendary figure of the fires, and although he's dead, she discovers his legacy and an unlikely but very beautiful relationship amongst all these older people. I find that it's presented like almost like a documentary with a voiceover. I'll show you here. We have the plain text here, and then the kind of italicized sections here where this is kind of like the voiceover where she's setting the scene or explaining things in kind of an omniscient sense as opposed to these character-driven narratives in the plain text. Is this a book to break barriers? I think so. The number of topics covered and how they are covered are really thought-provoking, and definitely I think they break barriers. For example, they talk a lot about old age, about how your body versus your mind versus your expectations of what your body and your mind can do. So your body may be crippled, but your mind is still there. Your mind's gone, but your body's fine, or what you expect when you get old to happen and what does and doesn't happen. And I think Martha Wainwright put it very funnily when she said there's some geriatric sexual mishaps that happen in the book. But it's not funny, it's beautiful. There's also the issue that is very big in Canada right now about controlling how you die. The Supreme Court just stated that doctor-assisted suicides is not illegal and has given Canada a year to come up with laws to put in place to make assisted suicide legal. And that's an issue that they address in this book about not being afraid of death, and even maybe changing your mind if you decide that you want to control that. If you wanted to to end your life, and then changing your mind because it's not something that you're totally set on, that these things kind of change throughout life. It also talks a lot about marijuana usage in kind of a very neutral type way. And there's a lot about history here. I never heard of the Great Fires of 1916. And I'm surprised. I can tell you anything about World War I, but ask me about the Great Fires, and if it wasn't for this book, I wouldn't have known. But I can tell you certainly that I think it is a very important part of Canadian history and that it should be taught in schools. As well, mental health issues are addressed in this book. It really exposes Canada's history of locking up unwanted people and mistreating them both socially, medically, sexually, all these ways. You know, people with mental health issues or people who are just peculiar were being locked up, and one of the characters has mental health issues. Obviously, the person who escaped from the mental institution, and the way that they address it is just like she's one of the other characters. It's nothing, you know, that's kind of pointed out all the time. Like, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, which is what I found with a few of the other books that were addressing with these issues. It was just kind of like there's these blinking lights going off. No, this is kind of organically put in. It's a part of the story. It's very beautifully done. So I think this book is beautiful. It addresses so many issues, and Martha Wainwright is awesome. So this book is going to win Canada Reads. I really, really hope it does anyways. So let me know if you've read this. I can't remember the French because my French is really bad. Oh, here. If you read this in French, it would be called Il pleuvait d'ossus. Really bad. But in English it's And the Birds Rain Down. So yes, let me know what you thought about it and what book you think should read Canada Reads. And remember to keep on reading. Hey, you might want to check out Pickle's Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, and other social media links in the description bar underneath.